What is up, guys? It's Verns back here again with another Supercoach video. This time it is the AFL first team pick, I guess. Look, I'm honestly so excited to do this. I know it came out yesterday, everyone. I just didn't really have the time to do a video, unfortunately. Saying that, I made sure more or less to avoid Twitter, avoid the YouTube content that came out. I'm very excited to go watch George's video, Fantasy Take TV video, and all the other content that does come out. But I just made sure to avoid that personally because I didn't want to influence my initial team thoughts. Now, obviously, a lot of our thoughts are influenced from how last season ended, and I'm just excited to jump into it before I start listening to other people's information and, I guess, sway my decision on where I'm going with that. Look, going into that, though, I do want to try and stick with my guns a bit. For those that do watch my NBL Supercoach videos, my NBL Supercoach started off really well, and look, as bad as it sounds, I didn't really have any outside noise because I didn't really know anyone doing the content at the start of the season, so I just sort of watched the games, went off my own opinions, and we started off really good out the gates. And look, obviously it's great to have that outside noise. That's why we have, these podcasts and whatnot to help with, all the information we can't find, especially with AFL Supercoach that has so much information, so many players, so many different things we need to be looking at. But at the same time, you need to be able to stick strong with your decisions, I think, on some of them, and don't let too much information try and sway you out. Don't forget what your fundamentals are. Don't forget what you like, why you like these players. Don't have to listen to everything. I mean, at the end of the day, you would want to hear it just so you have an opinion there, but don't let it 100% sway you. You still got to keep your own opinion, own fundamentals there when picking your players. So yeah, so I just wanted to get that out the way real quickly, guys. But yeah, I'm super excited to jump into this. Look, I've only really just looked at the teams then, which was pretty cool. Now, I think you guys are going to see my team's kind of full of rookies already. The main reason is, at the end of the day, we don't really know the rookies. We really don't know them. Like, what the rookies will end up being by round one, it's not going to be what we stick in our team to start with. So I thought I would put a bunch of rookies in, more or less higher price rookies, hopefully, so that we can, pick reasonable premiums, because no point in putting a bunch of 102k guys there, 123k guys there that are really cheap, and then it gives you this false perspective that you can fit 13, 14 premiums into the team. So I've put a bunch of higher price rookies, a few lower cost ones to try and even it out here and there. And then we've got about, how many spots do we have available? 4, 9, 13 positions available. Is that going to be too many? Maybe. Saying that, one of them could probably fall into the rookie category because of their price, but look, we'll jump into it. As I said, it's my first look at this. I've probably missed tons of players. There's probably plenty of things I'm going to get swayed on, but this is just what I'm going to go with from what I really saw last season and what I guess my first feelings were when I saw these prices, when I saw these players. So we're going to jump into it with defenders to start off. Now, number one for me, it has to be the man, James Sicily. At the end of the day, he was super important for my team at the end of the season, and I honestly feel like he's underpriced to a degree. Like, he had a few down games that, everyone's going to have down games, but these are really low games at the end of the day, and I do think he's got such a high ceiling. He's a VC option. Like, there's too many good parts of the equation there. Look, right now I am skipping over Nick Dacos. We will figure out Nick Dacos probably later on. But one thing I always knew is I was picking James Sicily at the start of the season. I probably thought I was going to be picking Dacos too, but having a quick look at that price tag, I'm like, man, is he going to get... Like, I expect him to get higher than that. I reckon he's going to be 120 plus this season, so he's probably someone we want to start with. But he does, as everyone knows, have a lot of tags at the start of the season. I say a lot of tags, but depends if they play round 0. I think Hawthorn and Collingwood are in round 0. I'll be honest, I don't quite remember, but I know we have Hawthorn early, and we know what Finn McGuinness did to him last year. So, look, if we don't start him, maybe he can drop in price early on, and we can grab him at a much more affordable price, which would be very nice. That's at least my thoughts there at this stage. But we'll jump down to the next player I'm picking. Man, looking at the top of this, it's not too different from last season, what we were seeing. Like, at the end of the day, you just switched Luke Ryan with Doherty, and that's basically the top 5 of last season, so it's just really repeating itself again, which is kind of funny. Dacos wasn't there, obviously. But nice looking top. look, this one, it's probably wrong at this stage, but we're always looking for value. I've put Jordan Ridley there. Obviously, with them bringing Mackay over from North, it's another lockdown defender, which means he should be able to be freed up to play his intercepting role a bit more. So maybe more consistent Supercoach scores. Maybe he reaches that ton average again. But I think he is just good value at the price potentially with that. I think that was the biggest problem with Ridley last year, is that he got stuck with a lot of lockdown roles. And he couldn't really do his intercepting role that we love for Supercoach. So with Mackay, I'm hoping that means that he is freed up to do that again. Maybe not. A lot of people jumping on Young, I believe, because obviously all that mid-time he got at the end of the season. He's going to have another preseason under his belt too. So probably a very good pick. Not one I've put in the team as of yet, though. So the last one I've slipped in here, I guess, for a premium price is Harry Himmelberg. And look, we know what this man did, 2 seasons ago on the back end of the season, put out massive 130 average in defense. Last year it was really iffy and he was really iffy, but I'd like to think that he gets a full preseason under his belt this season and he's able to actually perform at a high level. I do think, even if he's not that, I don't expect him to be at that 130 average or whatever he averaged on the back end of that season, but I think he could definitely be 100 average, 20 points on this, easy 100k on his price tag at least. So that's why I've thrown him in there for now. And then the final one, as I said, he's not really a premium, but he is basically at draft one rookie price, which is Zach Williams. And you can see him compared to Harley Reid, that they're literally basically the same price. So he's at the price that he's basically the number 1 draft pick for a rookie. I know he's injury prone, and I don't even know if he'll make it through the preseason, let alone play round 1 because of just how he is. But I mean, God, 216k, how can you look past that? When I was scrolling through the names earlier and I saw that sitting there, I was like, God damn, that looks pretty hard to just not click on. I mean, even if he gets up and plays, he's going to make money at that price. So that's more or less the hope, that he actually stays on the pitch and gets a few games in. Jumping into the midfielders now, this is where the fun really begins. Why is Bont not showing in my midfielders? Is there something wrong with my filter? Is it because he's over 700k and it doesn't show what? I mean, Bont should definitely be showing here. What have I done? How did I lose Bont from this? Look, we're going to ignore it because I'm not picking Bont anyway, but Bont should be number 1, and I don't know why he's not showing up. Look, number 1 of the team is going to be Oliver. Look, I'm not too sure with this one, honestly. Oliver, he put out a 120 average. He had a very down slump in the middle of the year where obviously he got injured and he had injury-affected games, and he just wasn't the same Oliver once he came back. So I think get a preseason under his belt, 100% fit and firing again coming into this season. He's probably that 125 guy again, so we're probably getting a bit of a discount on him. And we saw last season, he dropped to 650k at the lowest point he got before people had to start bringing him in. This man, he's getting to a point in his career where he's getting consistent and he's not really dropping those scores that push him down to that 600k mark, the high 500k mark, where you can bring him in at a bargain price. He's honestly, I wouldn't expect him to drop much lower than 650 this year at least, so I don't think you're going to get much more value on his price. And yeah, I think if anything, he's probably worth more than the average is showing, so that's why he's number 1 in the team. Very expensive though, so I understand that. Number 2 and 3 that I've thrown in is right next to each other. We've put in Dunkley and Butters. Honestly, these are our forward M1s and M2s from last year, and we saw how good they are. Dunks is just insane, and he had his, honestly, we're getting him once again at a bargain price because he had that injury-affected game at the end of the year where I think he missed his 2 weeks. Then he came back, and anytime he comes back from an injury, he just plays like hot garbage after it, which is, it's pretty funny. But it tanked his average, completely tanked his average. This man was honestly number 1 in Supercoach, or at least right up in the top 3 for most of the season, and fell away at the end, which means that we get him at a bargain price considering he should be 700k. So yeah, that's why Josh Dunkley is number 1. I guess number 1, but that's why he's picked up in my team, and I think he's just for these premiums probably number 1 value pick out of the premiums. And then we jump down the Butters, who's honestly he just keeps improving every year. He's just so good. He had a real rough start to the year where he had 2 games like sub 100, but then after that he was just so consistent. I can't click on them to show numbers and whatnot at the moment, but yeah, I think at the end of the season I just locked Butters in. I just wrote him down in my notes. Like, I'm picking him as a mid only, and I do not care. Like, I'm super excited to watch him this year. He's fun to watch, which is also very nice. It's great to be able to watch players that are just entertaining. And he put together 23 games. So at the end of the day, there was no injury-affected games, which he's had in the past. So he's finally gotten a full season. He's going to get in a preseason again. Like, I expect him to... I'm hoping that he'll up his output just because of the talent that he is. Obviously, sometimes players don't always up their output just for natural progression, but I'm hoping that he can, and that's why I've put him in the team at this point, because at the end of the day we want value in all these picks, and that's the reason I'm putting value on Butters. I think he can take it to another level. I think he will be a guy that pushes that 120 average, and this could be the season that he does it. So yeah, locking him in. Now jumping down the list, I know a lot of people jumped on Sammy Walsh, and I completely understand that. I only just realized he's priced at 103. Like, that's crazy value for someone who's a 115 average guy. Saying that, I don't think Carlton's mids have changed at all. I mean, maybe Kennedy got pushed out, but I mean, if he's still coming off the half-forward flank, that's a real problem. I mean, that was the whole problem with Walsh, that was his role at the end of the day. I mean, he's definitely got the talent, he's definitely got the skill to be that 115 guy, and if he's starting in the mid and playing in the mid all season long, then he's almost a must lock. But at this stage, I mean, I don't know the news if he's still coming off the flank, but if he's coming off the forward flank, coming off the half forward again, I'm not a fan of that personally. But someone I will put in the team at this stage, and look, a lot of people probably burnt from him last year, and a lot of people really probably don't want to touch Tuke Miller, but honestly, I don't know, this man's a superstar. I loved watching him play. I wanted him on my team so bad last season, and then he got injured and it just never ended up happening. And I mean, obviously a godsend there because he ended up getting injured and burning a lot of people that brought him in. But look, he's managed to play the back end of the year. His average is nice and cheap for a guy that we have averaged over 120. I think maybe he did it 2 seasons in a row. He's averaged over 120. And now he's at a point where his absolute value on his price, he's got hopefully the full preseason under his belt again, and he should be fit and firing for the new season coming. And at this price, I just see it an absolute steal. Yes, I know that we have like Rao coming through, we have Anderson coming through, we have Flanders coming through, but I think Miller is obviously still in that mix too. I mean, he's just a superstar, and he's the experience in there too, I guess. Obviously, Rao and Anderson are starting to get a bit more of that experience, but I still think Miller is he's just such a superstar. There's no way you can't just have him in your midfield. And as I said, I think he's just value at this price, sub 100 average. Like, yeah, no, I think get him in. So he's sitting there at the moment. Someone I always planned on eyeing off when the season turned over. And then the final one is Matty Crouch, which I think he's on everyone's radars because at the end of the day, he put 7 games under his belt. I feel like he had 2 random games in the season where he had awful scoring, and then he came back into the team for like the last 5 games and actually had some good scoring under his belt. So look, he's actually quite expensive. I thought he would be a lot cheaper when I was eyeing him off last year. I understand he's got this average here. He only got the 7 games in. Oh, obviously, no, he does have the 25% discount on him, doesn't he? Yeah, because that 97 average, but being priced less than guys that are technically 88. So it looks like he's priced at about 88. So yeah, he's got the 25% discount. I mean, that speaks enough value for it. As we said, the end of the season, he came back, he looked good, assuming he keeps playing that role moving forward. He's now at an absolute value price, considering 97 is what Tuke was on, I think, and that was about 570 or something like that. So he's at least 80k cheaper. I think it would be a serviceable M8, starting from this price, because obviously these are keepers at this price. Yeah, I mean, obvious value there, so we just plonk him in the team. Rucks, I expect these to be quite similar for everyone. I don't know what I've done to get the plus 700Ks out of this. I don't know what I've done. Clear filter? Bulldogs? I can't. Oh no. Okay, I don't know why he's not showing up, but I need Tim English in this spot, guys. I literally don't know what I've done. But Tim English is Look, he's got to be the numero uno pick for anyone that didn't start him last season. Like, it was so painful watching Tim English all season just absolutely roll us. And I know there's scarce about him playing a bit more forward time at the end of the day, but look, as someone that didn't own him all of last season, and I still had a pretty decent season even without owning him, I am absolutely dreading not having Tim English in my team again. So I'm definitely putting him there as the R1. Lock him in. The other thing here is we don't have Bont in the team at this current stage, so we're not going to get mixed up with a lot of people last season. You had the pick between Bont or Tim English for the VC or C loop, and Bont ended up popping off at the end of the season. I think Tim English baited a few people into not baited, but you ended up with a worse, captain option if you went English. So at the start of this season, we don't have Bont, we don't have that problem, so we can put the VC on him, and then we've got like perfectly good backup options in Oliver. I think Dunkley is going to be a good backup option. I think they're perfectly fine captain options. I think Sicily is more of a VC option, but depending on the matchup, could be a C option. And same with Butters, more of a VC, but could be a C depending on the matchup. So English, I think, is the most reliable. Not the most reliable. I'm pretty happy with Oliver and Dunkley, but I think he would be pretty consistent VC option because we know what he can do. So yes, pretend there's a Tim English there, and I don't know why there's not. But we'll jump down to the next, which is Brody Grundy. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, guys. Like, this man, we know he's a superstar. We know what he can do. I don't expect him to return to those heights, but the only reason he didn't perform really this year, and even the year before at Collingwood, was that he ended up with like Darcy Cameron in the team. He ended up with another ruck in the team that was affecting his performance. Honestly, he just had a bit of a down year for the last year in Collingwood. Last year, he obviously was in this team with Gawn, and they were splitting the time, and I think it just obviously very heavily affected him. Now he's at Sydney. He's not going to have other rucks coming in and messing up his jam. He is going to return to that 100-plus average guy, probably 110-plus average guy. I wouldn't be surprised. And at this price, I mean, he's valued at least at 600K plus, so I think he has to be in everyone's team, honestly. So, yeah, just crazy good pick. So we're going to slip him in there with, as I said, English is meant to be there. And then we'll jump down to the forwards. And look, I'm not really sold on these. I am not happy with the forwards. I mean, the forwards I think are the most fun to pick from because there's not the most obvious standouts as we've sort of had the last few years. Honestly, I'm so tempted to pick up Schultz just because Collingwood. Why not? But I'm probably not going to do that. Starting off in the team, we're going to put in Jack Macrae. And look, I don't like putting Macrae in because he burnt me at the end of last year with him getting, I think, injured in that last game or second last game, and then he had to be not playing for the last. It didn't work out well. I say it didn't work out well, but we just kept climbing at the end of the year, so I guess it did. But yeah, Macrae was a bad pick from when I grabbed him, and there was definitely better options at that time. Now, I hate putting him into the team as well, but with Bailey Smith going down with I forgot what he did. I'm just going to say a hammy. It wasn't a hammy. ACL. I think ACL is correct. Anyway, he's gone for the whole season. So at the end of the day, that's less people contesting this mid-time, which means potentially more for Jack Macrae. You'd got to think that the Dogs have got to look at how last season went and be like, what went wrong? And, I mean, you didn't have Macrae in your midfield. Like, I think not much more straightforward than that. I mean, we know Libber as a staple in there as well as Bont. Then they've got 2 more slots available for them. With Smith, that's less rotation happening. Macrae should get more time. I just don't know why Macrae isn't in there more. We know how good he is as a footballer, let alone as a Supercoach option. So, look, we're going to start him off and just, if he can even return to this 110 average, 10 more points on his price, that would be very nice. But he's probably the player that I feel safest with at this point. And then the next one is Sam Flanders. Yes, we started Flanders last year, and he was not the pick. But we saw how he basically ended with Gold Coast, and we know he's the pick now. Like, he was garbage for the first half of this year. Second half, he finally gets a role change. He finally does what we thought when we originally picked him last season, and he was a superstar on the back end of this year. 110, 120, 130s constantly, and we're getting him for 88. Like, I don't know what his average was at the end of last season, but I'm going to say probably 110 average, maybe plus. Getting him for 88, it's a bargain of a price. Yeah, I mean, once again, just someone that's going to be picked by probably everybody because he's just a bargain. So, yeah, that's how the team's looking, guys. They're the 13 premiums I'm looking at. Look, a few of these may be a bit more sketchy in the sense that We want to be picking players that are keepers. We want them to be top 6 in their role. To a degree, I haven't really looked at, I guess, top 6. I've just sort of looked at prices and gone their value, which may not be correct. Look, English is 710k. It leaves me about 85k to play around with this at the end of the day. And as I said, I've obviously just thrown rookies in there to get a rough idea of what I would be looking at. Maybe they're going to be less expensive. Maybe they're going to be more expensive. Not too sure. I'm not too unhappy with how this team is looking to start off with. I'm actually going to just quickly see if I can like refresh this. Oh, yes, what a beautiful team to end the season. Here we go. Okay, English is back. Beautiful. That's what we wanted to see. Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Looks like, comment down below. I obviously appreciate those that stayed to the end of the video, those that have liked, those that have subscribed. But yeah, if you want to comment down below and basically tell me what you're thinking, what I'm doing wrong, and just all those things, I definitely appreciate it. But until next time, guys, I appreciate y'all. Peace. Later.